I went to a bar, but the problem is I drank way too much. And shortly after, I threw up on myself. I was shocked, and I said, "Oh great, my wife is going to kill me now." The guy sitting next to me saw what happened, so he approached me and said, "Hey buddy, put a $20 bill in your pocket, and when you get home, tell your wife that the guy sitting next to you threw up on you and gave you $20 to get it cleaned." I was stunned by his genius idea, so I thanked him, put $20 in my pocket, and headed straight home. As soon as I arrived home, my furious wife looked at me in total disappointment and said, "Where have you been? It's midnight and you're completely drunk. Look at yourself, you threw up all over your shirt." I replied, "Honey, it's not what it looks like, I swear. The guy sitting next to me threw up on my shirt and he gave me a $20 bill to get it cleaned. Look, it's in my pocket." So my wife pulled out two $20 bills from my pocket and said, "There's $40 in there, not 20. I thought for a while and replied, "Yeah, he gave me another $20 because he shit in my pants too." Little Johnny's mom visits his school one day. Problem is, she meets his teacher and asks, "So how's Johnny doing at school?" The teacher replies, "He is the dumbest kid in school. He scores the lowest in the class and is not interested in anything." His mother was so disappointed that she took little Johnny out of the school. 25 years later, the teacher got very sick and needed an operation. She had a low chance of surviving, but fortunately she survived. The teacher asked to see the doctor that operated her. Shortly after, the doctor came to see her, and she smiled. The teacher started to say something, but suddenly gasped, turned blue, opened her mouth like she was about to say something, and died. The doctor was trying to understand what just happened when he saw little Johnny, who was now a cleaner at the hospital, take out the plug for the oxygen machine. Angry, the doctor asked, "Are you crazy? Why on earth did you do that?" Little Johnny replied, "You see, patients were not sleeping well at the hospital, so I simply unplugged all the loud, annoying beeping things in their rooms. They sleep much better now." My 18-year-old daughter just came home, but the problem is she approached me and said, "Dad, I need $200. I replied, "Honey, girls your age have a job and you need to get one too." My daughter agreed and decided to get a job. The next day I saw her knocking on doors, asking if anybody needs a handy woman. She went to the front door of the first house and asked the owner, "Good morning, sir. Do you need a handy woman?" The owner replied, "I could definitely use one, but how much will you charge me?" My daughter thought for a while and replied, "How about $100? The owner replied, "Deal. So my whole garage is a mess, and I need you to organize and clean it. Also, if you don't mind applying a little paint to the porch, I'll pay you extra." My daughter agreed to paint the porch and got to work. About 2 hours later, she approached the owner and said, "It's done. I did what you asked for." The owner reached for his pocket, handed her $200 and said, "Thank you very much, young lady. And as promised, I gave you another $100. My daughter replied, "You're welcome, sir. And by the way, it's not a Porsche, it's a Honda." I was working as a bartender, but the problem is, a guy I've never seen before enters the bar. He approaches me and says, "I'd like 4 drinks, please." Confused, I asked, "4 drinks? What happened?" The guy replied, "I just found out that my brother is gay." I replied, "Everyone has their own paths," and handed him the drinks. The next day, the same guy enters the bar and says, "Bartender, hand me 4 drinks." Confused, I asked, "4 drinks again? What happened now?" The guy replied, "I just found out that my oldest son is gay." I replied, "Well, that's his choice," and handed him the drinks. The next day, the same guy comes back once again and asks for 4 drinks. I was really confused, so I asked, "My God, what happened now?" The guy replied, "I just found out that my youngest son is also gay." I replied, "It's totally up to him," and handed him the drinks. And the next day, he comes back yet again. And before he says something, I immediately ask him, "Doesn't anyone in your family like women?" The guy takes a deep breath and replies, "Actually, one person does, my f***ing wife."